Welcome, learners. JustProfessor here. You have an amazing day. Everything goes right. Best performance ever. You're on top of the world. The next day is just normal, maybe even below average. You think something went wrong. You try to figure out what changed. But nothing changed. You just experienced regression to the mean, and misunderstanding it is making you draw false conclusions about everything. Extreme results don't continue. Record performances are followed by normal performances. Terrible days are followed by average days. Hot streaks cool off. Cold streaks warm up. This isn't because something changed or because performance got better or worse. It's just math. Extreme outcomes tend to be followed by more moderate outcomes. This is called regression to the mean, and not understanding it makes you see patterns that don't exist, believe in things that aren't real, and make decisions based on completely wrong interpretations of what's happening. Regression to the mean happens because extreme results usually involve some luck or randomness, and luck doesn't continue indefinitely. When someone has an unusually good outcome, they probably had a combination of skill and good luck. When someone has an unusually bad outcome, they probably had skill and bad luck. Next time, their luck will be more average. So, extreme results naturally move back toward the average, even though nothing about the person's actual ability changed. Your brain doesn't understand this naturally. When you see an extreme result followed by a less extreme result, you think something caused the change. You think the person improved or declined. You think some factor made a difference. You create explanations for what you see, but you're explaining random regression to the mean as if it's a real pattern or effect. This makes you wrong about causes and effects constantly. You think something worked when it didn't. You think something failed when it didn't. You reward things that didn't help and punish things that weren't problems, all because you interpret natural regression to the mean as meaningful change. The problem becomes bigger when you make decisions based on these false interpretations. You keep doing things that don't work because you think they caused improvement that was actually just regression. You stop doing things that do work because you think they caused decline that was actually just regression. Your understanding of what works and what doesn't gets completely distorted. Let me show you how regression to the mean makes you misunderstand reality in everyday situations. Sports is full of regression that gets misinterpreted. A player has a career best season. The team gives them a huge contract. Next season, they're just good, not amazing. Everyone says they got complacent or lost motivation or stopped trying, but more likely, the career best season included exceptional luck and timing. The next season was their actual skill level. The decline wasn't real decline. It was regression to the mean. Rookie of the Year awards show this pattern constantly. A rookie has an incredible first season and wins the award. Second season, they're much worse. People call it the sophomore slump and create explanations about pressure or expectations or teams figuring them out. Sometimes those factors matter, but often it's just regression. The rookie year was unusually good, partly due to luck and circumstance. The second year was closer to their true ability level. Business decisions get ruined by not understanding regression. A store has a terrible sales month. Management panics and makes big changes. Next month, sales are better. Management thinks the changes worked, but sales were probably going to improve anyway through regression to the mean. The terrible month was unusually bad, likely including some random negative factors. The next month was just more normal. The changes may have done nothing, but management thinks they were crucial. The same thing happens when a department has great performance and gets rewarded. Then performance drops. Management thinks the reward made people lazy, but the great performance probably included some luck. The following performance was just regression toward normal. The reward didn't cause anything. But management learns the wrong lesson and stops rewarding good performance. Medical treatments get wrongly credited due to regression to the mean. Someone has severe symptoms. They try a new treatment, symptoms improve. They think the treatment worked, but many conditions naturally fluctuate. People seek treatment when symptoms are at their worst. Even without treatment, symptoms would likely improve through regression to the mean. The treatment gets credit for improvement that would have happened anyway. This is why proper medical studies use control groups and careful protocols. Without them, regression to the mean makes ineffective treatments look effective because people naturally improve from their worst states. Parenting and teaching get distorted by regression to the mean. A kid gets a terrible grade. Parent punishes them. Next grade is better. Parent thinks punishment worked. But the terrible grade might have included bad luck. A topic the kid happened to not study. A confusing question. A bad day. The next grade was just more normal. The punishment probably didn't help and might have hurt, but regression to the mean made it look effective. The opposite happens too. Kid gets an amazing grade. Parent praises them heavily. Next grade is lower. Parent thinks praise made the kid lazy, but the amazing grade probably included good luck. The next grade was closer to actual ability. The praise didn't cause the decline. Regression did. This pattern makes harsh feedback look effective and positive feedback look counterproductive, even when the opposite is true. The timing of extreme results and regression creates false patterns that lead to terrible parenting and teaching strategies. Stock picking falls victim to regression constantly. An investment manager has several years of exceptional returns. They get featured in magazines. Money pours in, then returns become average or below average. Investors think the manager lost their touch, but exceptional returns usually include significant luck. The following years were regression to more normal performance that reflects actual skill level. The manager didn't necessarily get worse. They just stopped being lucky. This makes it nearly impossible to identify genuinely skilled investors versus lucky ones without very long time periods. Short-term exceptional performance tells you almost nothing because of regression to the mean. Employee performance reviews misinterpret regression all the time. An employee has a bad quarter. They get put on a performance improvement plan. Next quarter, they improve. Management thinks the plan worked, but performance naturally varies. A bad quarter is often followed by a better one through regression to the mean, regardless of intervention. The plan gets credit it doesn't deserve. Or an employee has an exceptional quarter and gets promoted. Performance in the new role is disappointing. People think they were promoted beyond their ability, but the exceptional quarter might have been unusually good luck. Their normal performance, revealed after promotion, was always their true level. The promotion didn't cause the decline. Regression did. Product reviews and ratings show regression effects. A product gets some early 5-star reviews from people who had exceptionally good experiences. You buy it expecting 5-star quality. Your experience is fine, but not amazing. You feel disappointed. But the early reviews might have represented the best-case scenarios, including some luck and ideal circumstances. Your normal experience was regression to the mean of what the product actually delivers. Relationship dynamics misinterpret regression constantly. You have a terrible fight with someone. Worst argument ever. You worry the relationship is doomed. A few days later, things are normal again. You think time healed things or someone changed. But emotions naturally fluctuate. The terrible fight was an extreme event. The return to normal was just regression to the mean. Nothing necessarily changed except the temporary extreme emotions subsided. So how do you avoid drawing false conclusions from regression to the mean? How do you tell the difference between real change and natural regression? First, expect extreme results to be followed by more moderate results. When someone has an unusually good or bad outcome, predict that the next outcome will be closer to average. This doesn't mean they'll definitely regress, but it's the most likely scenario. Don't be surprised by regression, and don't immediately create explanations for it. Second, look for consistent patterns over time, not single extreme results. One amazing performance doesn't mean someone is amazing. Multiple good performances with some variation means they're actually good. One terrible result doesn't mean something is broken. Multiple bad results suggests a real problem. Regression to the mean affects single extreme events much more than sustained patterns. Third, be very skeptical of explanations for changes following extreme results. When someone has a record-breaking month than a normal month, resist the urge to explain what changed. Consider that nothing changed and you're just seeing regression. Only accept change explanations when you have a clear evidence beyond the timing pattern. Fourth, compare to a control group when possible. If you make a change after an extreme result, you need to know what would have happened without the change. Would performance have improved anyway through regression? Without a comparison, you can't know if your change mattered. This is why scientific studies are designed the way they are. Fifth, be careful about making decisions immediately after extreme results. Don't overreact to one bad outcome by making big changes. Don't overinvest after one great outcome. Wait to see if the extreme result repeats or regresses. Make decisions based on sustained patterns, not temporary extremes. Sixth, understand that regression doesn't mean nothing ever changes. Real improvement and real decline happen, but you need to distinguish them from regression to the mean. Real change shows up consistently over multiple trials. Regression shows up as extreme results returning toward average. Seventh, teach yourself to recognize the pattern. After an extreme event, ask yourself if what you're seeing next is real change or just regression to the mean. Train yourself to expect regression so you don't create false explanations when it happens. Regression to the mean is making you misunderstand cause and effect everywhere in your life. You see extreme results followed by normal results, and you create explanations for the change, but often nothing changed. Extreme results naturally move back toward average because extreme results usually include some luck or randomness that does not persist. This makes you believe things work when they don't, and things fail when they don't. You credit treatments that didn't help. You blame interventions that didn't hurt. You think people improved or declined when their actual ability stayed the same. All because you interpret natural statistical regression as meaningful change. The consequences are serious. You make bad decisions because you're acting on false beliefs about what causes what. You reward and punish the wrong things. You invest in strategies that don't work. You avoid strategies that do work. Your entire understanding of what's effective gets distorted by misinterpreting regression as real effects. The tricky part is regression to the mean looks exactly like real change in the moment. Someone performs badly. You intervene, they improve. The timeline suggests your intervention worked. But regression to the mean creates that same timeline even when the intervention did nothing. You can't tell them apart without careful analysis or comparison to what would have happened without intervention. Understanding regression to the mean doesn't mean you assume everything is random and nothing matters. Real changes happen. Real improvements and declines occur. But you need to be much more careful about claiming cause and effect. You need longer time periods, more data, and comparison groups before concluding that something caused something else. The next time you see an extreme result followed by a less extreme result, resist your brain's urge to immediately explain what changed. Consider that nothing changed and you're just witnessing natural regression to the mean. Look for sustained patterns over time before deciding that real change occurred. Don't let statistical noise trick you into seeing meaningful patterns that aren't there. Most people go through life never understanding regression to the mean. They consistently misinterpret it as real effects and real changes. They make decisions based on these misinterpretations. They develop false beliefs about what works. And they never realize that much of what they think they know about cause and effect is actually just misunderstood regression to the mean. Subscribe to discover more statistical patterns your brain mistakes for meaningful insights.